Well, howdy there, Internet students. This is Mr. Hermanson again. So if you're listening to this, then that means you want to retake the 5.1 test. So I'm going to just go over a few things. Make sure you take notes so that I can see them on your document or on a piece of blank paper. That's fine with me also, but make sure you get all these notes. So this is geometry. You're probably going to need a formula for most of these. I recommend you write down the formula you need. Okay, so for this first problem, we want to find the circumference of the circle. Now, to find the circumference, this is a formula I like to use. It's diameter times pi. Now, remember that when you see formulas and there's no operation symbol in there, right there, there's no operation symbol, that would be multiplication. So we need to do the diameter, which is given, and you can tell this is the diameter because the line goes all the way across the circle. Okay, so we're going to do 18 times pi, and the directions say use 3.14 for pi. So we're going to do 18 times 3.14, and we can see that that equals 56.52. So I'm going to circle this one. It looks like they rounded to the nearest tenth in these answers, but that would be correct for that one. Okay, so on these three problems, you're going to find the circumference. Make sure that if you are given the radius, that you double that if you want the diameter. The diameter equals 2 times the radius. Okay. All right. On number 2, we're going to find the area of the same circle. For area, we use pi r squared as the formula. And for pi, again, we're going to use 3.14. The radius is half the diameter, so we want to divide that by 2 to get the radius. So we're going to do 3.14 times 9 squared, which equals 254.34. That would be C. All right, so in these problems, you're going to find the area of these circles. Make sure that you check to see whether the number you're given is the radius or the diameter. In the formula, you need the radius. All right, next we're going to figure out how to find the area of a sector. Okay, now in this sector, this is called the minor sector if it's smaller than a half of the circle. If it's greater than half the circle, then it's called a major sector. So we're going to find the area of that sector. To do that, we need the area formula, which is pi times radius squared, which is 3.14 times 9 to the second. I think we just did that, didn't we? So we have 254.34. Now that would be the whole circle, remember that. And we only want 130 degrees out of 360 degrees of that circle. So we're going to do proportion now. And the whole area goes with the 360 because if we do the whole circle, there's 360 degrees. So you need to put 254.34 here. Now you're going to do your proportion math, multiply kitty corner. So multiply that by 130 and then divide by the number left over. So times 130 divided by 360. So we get 91.845. And if I was to label that, since it's area, I'm counting the square unit, so I would label it like that. If you're finding perimeter or circumference, then it's just normal straight units. Okay, so on all these, you're going to find the area of the shaded part. Okay, other thing you need to know how to do is to find the perimeter of a sector. Now, a perimeter of a sector includes the circle part right there, plus these two lines here, the two radii. Okay, so I'm going to put my work here. I know I need to add 9 and 9. That's the two radii. And then I need to figure out, and I'll change the color now, the length of this line which is part of the circumference. So I need this formula. Diameter times pi. Okay, my diameter would be 18, right? Because it's twice the radius. So I'm going to take 18 times pi. And then I'm going to find the portion of the sector of that circumference. But I need to find that number first. 18 times 3.14 is 56.52. All right, and I'm going to do the proportion. 56.52 is the entire circumference. I only want 130 degrees of that out of the 360 total degrees in a circle. So I'm going to multiply by 130. And then divide that by 360. And I get 177.41. That I need to add uh-oh, I don't like that answer. Can't be more than the total. Did I read that wrong? I forgot to hit equals, didn't I? No. Let's try that again. So 56.52 times 130 divided by 360. That's better. 20.41. Do you guys see how I knew I had made a mistake on my calculator there? That number was way too big. It can't be more than the total. So 20.41 we want to add. And then I have to add 9 plus 9 to that. That's these two parts to get the entire perimeter there. So plus 18 more. 38.41. And that would just be regular old centimeters because we're doing the distance, straight distance. So straight units. All right, so on all these, you've got to find the perimeter of the sectors. Okay, another thing you had to do was to take a circumference and or an area and find the radius or the diameter. Okay, so this says the circumference is 125.6. So that means whoever found this circumference, they use this formula, diameter times pi, right? So the 125.6 equals the diameter times 3.14. Now, to find that missing thing, we need to work backwards. We need to do 125.6 divided by 3.14. And that equals 40. So our diameter is 40. So I'll just draw a quick circle here. The diameter of this fountain area is 40. So that's all the way across. We want the radius, so we want to divide that by 2. So the radius is 20. Okay. Now that we have that radius, we can find the area if we want. The area is just pi r squared. And so that equals 3.14 times 20 squared. I'll let you finish that. Okay, I want to show you how to do one more type of problem where you have to find the radius from the area. And that would be this problem right here, C. And so you have the area, and I'm just going to put the formula that gives you that. That's pi, so 3.14 times the radius squared. Now we don't know what the radius is, but if I'm going to backtrack here, if I do 78.5 divided by 3.14, that will equal the radius squared. So 78.5 divided by 3.14 equals 25. Now that is the radius times the radius. So some of you could figure out right now that that's 5 because 5 times 5 is 25. But the way you get just the radius the way you backtrack on a squared is a square root. And the square root of 25 is 5. All right. The other things you have to know how to do is how to find the perimeter and the area of like rectangles, squares, triangles. Okay. Remember that perimeter means the distance around. So I'll just write around. So that would be this. And area is the square units inside. So, okay. And I will put the formula for perimeter, you just add up all the sides. I'm not going to put a formula for that. But for area of a rectangle is base times height. And for a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Okay, so perimeter, we're just going to add up all the sides. I like to write them all out like this. I'm going to add 8 plus 2, which is 10. And then 8 plus 2 again is another 10, so the perimeter is 20. So 8, here's my work. I got to add 8 twice and 2 twice. Okay, now the area is just base times height, which is 2 times 8, which is 16. Now when you label those perimeter, you would just label centimeters. And area is the number of square units inside, so you would label that centimeters squared. Okay. Now a triangle is kind of like the area formula for the rectangle, only you divide it by 2, and that kind of makes sense because check this out. If you split a rectangle in half, you get a triangle, right? So for perimeter, I'm just going to add the 3 sides, 32 plus 48, which is 80, plus 40 equals 120, and I just label that centimeters. And then area is base times height. Now the way you tell the base and the height is this little thing right here. It's the 2 sides that are perpendicular. A height has to be a straight up line, which the 40 is, and the base is the one that's attached to that when it's a right triangle like this. So I'm going to take 40 times 32 and divide that by 2. Okay, and that equals 640. And then we label that square centimeters. All right, so that's it for this video. Go ahead and finish those problems up and email me a nice photo of them. And if it all looks good, I'll get a test out to your parents. Good luck with that.